I'm back in my favorite spot, and I forgot my filming equipment and whatnot. By filming equipment, I mean just my selfie stick. I brought my microphone, so hopefully the sound is going to be better, even though I don't think it has any kind of wind protection, so you're probably going to hear the wind. But it is spring, and I'm in my favorite spot, and I'm just so happy. I saw the greenery and I just cried, as I usually do, because spring just makes me so happy. I don't know how to explain it. I think that there is something primal within me that responds to something in the air. So I'm sure one day we're going to be able to analyze these chemicals, something that is floating in the air, and we'll be able to tell what it is and examine it and maybe mimic it. So we can mimic the spring fever, which I believe that's what I get. I think it is spring fever. I just feel like dancing and singing and celebrating and having a good time during the time like this. I just love being alive during spring, and then I live the rest of the year waiting for the season to come. And I think I'm far from being the only one. And the celebrations of the past, I think I mentioned that a lot of the pagan celebrations of the past, they celebrate at the beginning of the year in spring, so in March or in April, depending on how bad the winters would get. So here in these lands, we also celebrate Nauryz, which is at the end of March, and it's a festival, so people celebrate for a few days. And I've never liked celebrating with other people, but I just liked celebrating on my own in nature. But now I think I'm ready to celebrate with people as well. Even though I have been alienated from my culture, I think I can come up with a way to celebrate myself. I don't have to follow traditions and rules and whatnot, because more often than not, for people who have been alienated from their culture, it may be counterproductive to try and mimic the culture that they have been alienated from. For some people, it may be empowering, but for others, it may actually be futile, and it may feel fake, and it may feel like you're trying to pretend like you're such and such person. So depending on what your needs are, you may choose to celebrate in the manner that is traditional, or you may come up with your own way to celebrate. There is really no rhyme or reason to celebration, and you should be able to celebrate the way you want to. And I am reminded of how here in Kazakhstan, and not only in Kazakhstan, in other republics as well, at the emergence of the USSR, the celebrations were very much encouraged, especially the ones that celebrated the communist values. And there was an attempt at integrating the communist values into the traditional values, because they more often than not would directly correlate, because the humanist values of communism, like brotherhood and mutual aid, those were understood by all of the peoples of all of the lands. So it was funny when I read some historical accounts and some reactions of the modern liberal historians to these accounts, where they were talking about some of the celebrations that they've integrated into the Kazakh culture. And some modern historians, the liberal historians, were like, and they were trying to instill their communist values through these celebrations. And I'm like, well, those values are freedom, equality, don't beat up your wives kind of values. So what's wrong with trying to integrate these values, bearing in mind that those were the values that the people here already had and in many ways practiced? So I really don't see how this was not understood, and is still not understood by some historians. So, but apart from that, I feel like we all should be able to celebrate in the manner that is not harmful to ourselves or the environment, but in all other aspects, we should be able to celebrate in any way we please. And whether it's traditional or not, it's up to us to decide. We can communally decide what it is that is appropriate and what it is that is not. But we should remember that communism will help us celebrate whatever it is we want to celebrate, and it will help us unite through all of our differences.